Don't worry, Colorado fans. Help is on the way for Coach Prime and the Buffs, and I'm going to tell you why the latest rule changes are big for Colorado.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. This episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen. We're right around 5,000 subs. Let's get there. Just a dozen more, a handful more. We're getting there. We're so close. Today's episode, we are talking about how the latest college football rule changes help out Colorado tremendously. And you're probably like, how do these rules only help out Colorado? Now, I'm sure there's a lot of teams that apply that these rules will help out, but none more so than Colorado. There's game management things that will help out. There's communication things that will help out. And then there's making adjustments, things that will kind of help the Buffs. So starting with the new rules, if you guys aren't familiar, the NCAA is approving the allowing of one player per team to have helmet communication with a coach. So theoretically, it'd be Deion Sanders communicating with Pat Shurmur or whoever calls plays for Pat Shurmur. I assume to be Pat Shurmur, where Pat Shurmur is going to be saying, Shedeur, we are running this play. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, Shedeur, you have the play. You may go. And that's going to be a lot easier than looking over at the sidelines and getting the signs from the student managers that are holding up the signs or in those lime green shirts that look like they're trying to control 1,000 planes at once at the air traffic control center. And they will have the ability to communicate until there's 15 seconds left on the play clock, or they snap the ball. So whatever comes first, and they will have one. Shedeur it'll probably be Shedeur. That's my assumption. We'll have a coach talking to him, telling him what play to run. I personally think it should be two. I think someone on the defense should have it as well, but there's big discussions behind the scenes about that. So we'll see how that goes. So how does that help Colorado on offense? Well, for one, I think last year, a lot of what hurt them at times, because there were some delay of game things and adjustments being made, was sometimes it took too long to get the signals in. So for a team that wanted to go boom, 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 super fast, they were like, boom, okay, now I got to look over here. And it just, there was a lot going on. So I think this is going to really help Shedeur as a leader. This is really going to help everyone get on the same page on offense. So you don't have certain people looking over. Everyone's going to be looking at Shedeur. It's going to kind of increase the continuity on offense, which is very important. Obviously, Colorado didn't have a ton of issues like the defense did, which maybe Colorado will be like, maybe the defense needs it because they were horrendous last year at communicating, and Shedeur will still get signals. It all depends on who the coaches want to give it to. Second rule, there's going to be tablets allowed. So for all three divisions, teams will have the option of using tablets to view in-game video only. The video can include from the broadcast feed, camera angles, and from the coach's sideline and end zone. Teams could have up to 18 active tablets for use in the coaching booth, sideline, and locker room. Tablets could not be connected to other devices to project larger images and cannot include analytics data or data access capability or another communication access. All team personnel will be allowed to view the tablets during the game. So during the game, something goes wrong. It's like, okay, well, this is what I saw. Well, that's not what I saw over here. They're going to be able to go over to a handy dandy iPad or tablet or whatever. I don't know who their sponsor is, a tablet. And they're going to be able to be like, okay, this is where we went wrong. This is the adjustments we need to make. Defense specifically, Colorado got hurt a lot in crossing routes. Imagine, because on TV, when we have, I think it was Louis Riddick, I believe it was, or Kirk Herbstreit, whoever was calling the game. Maybe it was Kirk Herbstreit. I don't remember. Whoever was calling the game for ESPN, when we have them going, you know what, Colorado's just getting killed by the crossing route right here. Killed by the crossing route. Here goes another crossing route to Horton or whoever. And it was like, oh, dang, how did they not see this? Well, they're sitting above the game. They have instant replay. They have all these people talking to them. They obviously are football minds. They're not worried about, okay, which personnel are we putting out there? They're not worried about, okay, which personnel are they putting out there? Which formation are they lining up with? Coach Prime, the defensive coordinator, Charles Kelly, this year it's going to be Robert Livingston. They would have had to worry about so many things. And now they're going to be able to be like, okay, what can we learn from this drive these drives where Colorado State is charging down the field with authority, slicing and dicing us like they're the prime LSU offense with Joe Burrow. Like they were making that Colorado defense look horrendous. So this allows Colorado's offense and defense to make adjustments in game right away rather than going to halftime. Because I know a lot of times teams make adjustments at halftime. It's a completely different game plan. But at that point, it might be too late. You might be to the point where it's like, okay, we know it's going wrong, but we're just going to keep trying to stop it for now, and then we'll fix it at halftime. These things can be fixed on the sideline in live time, which would be huge, which kind of gets Colorado back in the games for certain things, and also kind of just keeps them up to par on what needs to happen. And then final, this rule is a big one. Obviously, college football is about money, so this probably has more to do with money. They're going to get probably 4 or 5 more commercials in at this point. But I mean, if you guys weren't familiar with the cash grabbing that's going on in college football, it is about money. So a lot of these moves are money motivated, however they present them or not. But this rule still does help out Colorado. Maybe it helps out Coach Prime. Maybe he'll get a California Almonds commercial in, or a KFC commercial, or whoever else he's sponsored, or the Amazon commercial for Shador and Shiloh. But during the 2-minute warning, or there's a 2-minute warning. I just spoiled it for you. But during the second and fourth quarter, there is a 2-minute warning now. So once the second quarter gets to 2 minutes, there's going to be a stoppage. Same thing with the fourth quarter. For a team like Colorado, I don't know if there's a metric for this. I'll look around because I don't feel like this is more of like a subjective thing of like, I don't think they were good at this. They were bad at game management. Imagine having an extra timeout against USC when Shador or Sean Lewis, whoever's calling plays, is running the ball with no timeouts. Because Colorado's final drive against USC it started at, I want to say it was like 5:14 left on the clock. And so they ran the clock all the way down to a minute and something, and then USC got the ball back and kneeled. Imagine having an extra timeout because they wasted their timeouts earlier in the second half. Maybe running the ball doesn't hurt them as much, or maybe they score with a minute 45 left or a minute 50 left. And so now USC has to run 3 plays and there's not enough time to just run the clock out. Or imagine Stanford. It's 2-minute warning. You get a stop late in the game, or you kind of could kill Stanford's momentum in the fourth quarter because they were obviously charging down the field every single time. Oregon State. Maybe if there's a 2-minute warning, Colorado reconsiders what they're doing, because obviously there was only a couple of minutes left when they decided to throw the ball a few times backed up against their own end zone. Maybe they're like, you know what? 2-minute warning. There's a lot of stoppages. That's 4 timeouts. Because basically, if you save all your timeouts, which most teams won't, but if you don't use a timeout in the first half and you get the 2-minute warning, you have 4 timeouts. Realistically, you could be like, okay, there's a 2-minute warning. We're going to call a timeout, a play after that. And we're going to call a timeout, a play after that. You could stack your timeouts and use them however you want, obviously. And realistically, you have as many timeouts as you need within a certain period. That helps teams like Colorado if they're trying to have a comeback. Like I said, USC or Utah, maybe. It just helps this team kind of plan for or make up for their flaws in game management. Obviously, I'm expecting them to be better game management wise, but you never know. There's the human element of things. There's things where it's like, okay, they're distracted, they're not paying attention, they don't know this rule or whatever it may be. This helps them out. This helps out Colorado tremendously in game management, which is or was one of their biggest issues this past season. So you comment below which rule you think makes the biggest difference for Colorado. Obviously, they're not just only applying to Colorado. Every team will be able to kind of benefit in some capacity off these rules, but I do think it's a big get for Colorado. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our new sponsors over at Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be like around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is always updating assistant to call for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen, which that's pretty big infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is a perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada. We'll change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that could seat up to 8 people in first-class luxury and style. Two bigger, bigger, and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. Again, that's NISSAN USA.com. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. We're talking about the disrespect. I'm seeing it already this offseason. It's like, oof. If we're trying to be edgy, it's fine. If we're not, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think there's guys or people who are going to want to predict a lot of downfall for Colorado, and then there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to be high on Colorado because they want to be right. I'm just going to tell you what I think is going to happen next season. I'm not trying to be right. Well, I'm trying to be right, but I'm not going to be braggadocious about it. Maybe a little, but some people want to be right so they can be on this like, I told you guys about Colorado. When I give you my opinions, it's just this is what I think. This is how I feel. Colorado next season should make a bowl game. That is an opinion. It might even be a fact. They have a much better roster. They were in a lot of close games last season, and Stanford, Oregon State was somewhat close for the most part. Utah was a close game. Arizona, USC was somewhat close at the end there. That's 4 or 5 games where it's like a play goes a different way. Colorado has 7-8 wins next season or this past season. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to win 9 or 10 games next season. I do think they'll make a bowl game, and I do think a lot of people are continuing to underestimate them and ignoring their offseason additions. So there was a power rankings or a ranking or projections of Big 12 records, and they had Colorado at 5-7. And it's like, okay, a 1-game improvement is improvement, so I'm not going to take away from that. That'd be nice, right? We love improvement, but I think that'd be a failure. I think Colorado is bowl game bound. I don't think their schedule ends friendly, but like I've been saying, their schedule gives them the opportunity to get hot before they get to that point. I'd be more worried about their schedule if they played Oklahoma State, Kansas, Utah, Texas Tech in their first 4 games. Like if that was flip the first 4 with the last 4. Obviously, that's not how scheduling works. But then I'd be like, okay, Colorado's probably starting off 1-3. They got to get their momentum. They got to build momentum. North Dakota State, tough game. Colorado should have more talent than them. They should be able to beat them. I saw the line go up a little bit. I think it went up a point on the spread for the North Dakota State Colorado game. Colorado should beat them, should help them fine-tune things. Same thing with Colorado State and Nebraska. I think they should beat Nebraska on the road and give them that tough environment. Same thing with Colorado State. On the road, they should blow out Colorado State. Not only is it personal, Colorado State is not good enough to keep up with Colorado. They shouldn't be, at least. So it's like, how are we getting to this point of where people are like, they're not making a bowl game? One, I think people are overlooking the offensive line additions. Colorado had the worst offensive line in the country last season, and they still won 4 games, and they were still in the mix for about, we'll say 6-7 wins. We'll just call it that. They had a horrible offensive line. Shedeur Sanders got sacked 56 times, right? And you're like, okay, well, we don't know if this new offensive line is going to be better. Well, I mean, we do, kind of. I mean, it's hard to get worse, is what I'll say. I don't think they could put out a worse product than last year's offensive line. Even if Shedeur Sanders gets sacked 30 times this year, which is still a lot. I'm not saying I'd like him to get sacked 30 times. That is still 26 less than what he was sacked last year, which is pretty crazy when you put that into perspective. Shedeur Sanders has 20 more opportunities to make plays. Just think about it that way. There's 20 more opportunities for Shedeur Sanders to look downfield, find Travis Hunter, find Jimmy Horn, find LeJohntay Wester, find Will Shepherd, whoever it may be, or maybe scramble. He has a few big runs this past season. It also means he's not going to get beat up as much. Obviously, I can't speak for his health, but you could tell he was beaten up. He was getting injections in the locker room from what reports were saying. He was hurt. He was bruised. At one point, he was like, I can't even run. It hurts. And it's like, okay, he still might get banged up because that's football. You never know how he's going to fall. You never know if a certain 350-pound defensive lineman from whatever school is going to land on his hip or his ankle. You never know. But I like his chances to get hurt less when you're getting sacked less. Also, you look at their secondary. Their secondary is much improved. They have Travis Hunter on one side of the ball. I think he's going to take another step because I think the secondary around him is improved. They have a good safety in Shiloh Sanders. They have Miles Slusher in the mix. They have Vito Tisdale. They have guys at safety that could play. Then you go to that other corner spot, and it's like Preston Hodge is in the mix. Cormani McClain, 5-star recruit, should be taking that next step, right? If he doesn't, like I said, Preston Hodge or Marion Cooper is a senior. I think he's a senior. He's someone who should take that next level or that next step. He's someone who's experienced. He's someone that, yeah, he's going to be a senior. He's someone that this Colorado team should be able to build off of. So they have an improved secondary. Their defense line is better. I don't know if it's like worlds better, but it's better than what it was last year. So I think a lot of these things are being overlooked. You return Shador Sanders, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's in a better situation, and they have more. I think they'll have a better run game. We'll see. I think they should have a better run game with Pat Shermer calling plays in this offensive line, but you never know. But this Colorado team is just all around better. So I have a hard time believing that they won't win at least 6 games. I just look at the schedule and I'm like, I see 7 wins. Is what if I had to give a prediction right now, I'd say 7 wins. I'd flip the 5 and 7 because I just feel like they've improved everywhere. I think there's going to be some game management stuff that comes into play. I think there's going to be injuries that come into play. Teams around the Big 12 taking next steps is also going to be a factor. But I like where this Colorado team is at. You guys comment below if someone was like, okay, give me your record prediction for Colorado right now. Comment below what that would be because I feel like we're going to be all over the place, but that's what the offseason's for. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some hoops and how Colorado is almost on the inside. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Go check it out. You can place a bet on maybe LeBron James to get a triple-double, Anthony Davis to get 40 points, the scoring over. Exclusive props could be something like, oh, Luka Doncic is going to do this or whatever it may be. Go check it out. They have a lot of great props. You won't want to miss out. You won't want to miss out on the fun. Go win you some money. $5 bet. All you have to do, win a $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bucks. So go check it out. Appreciate that. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and making me your first listen of the day. We are talking about Colorado basketball. Are they in? Are they out? And right now, the metrics say they are in. They are the last 4 in, according to Joe Lunardi, and they are trending up at the right time, and that's okay. I mean, what better time to trend up than when March is here? Because obviously they have a few games left this upcoming regular season. I look at let me pull up their schedule. So Colorado has 3 games remaining. They are currently sitting 3 games back of the top spot in the Pac-12, and their schedule goes as follows. They play Stanford, who's lost 5 straight, probably is going to be firing their coach as someone who covers them as well. They're probably going to fire Jared Haas. It is a disaster over there in Palo Alto. They have multiple 5-stars on the roster. They have seniors all over the place, and they still can't put it together. So they played them on Sunday, then at home as well. That's a tough environment if you're a Stanford team trying to find momentum. You're not going to find it in Boulder, let me tell you. Then they hit the road for their season finales. They go at Oregon, who Oregon is same record as them on the year. They are 11-6 in Pac-12 play, 1 spot ahead. So if Colorado beats them, you slide ahead of Oregon. You're kind of in the mix there with Washington State and Arizona, depending on what they do to end the year. And then to close the year, you get to play Oregon State, who's 4-14 in Pac-12 play. So this Colorado team is trending upwards at the right direction. Their past few games, they beat USC 92-89 in a double overtime kind of barn burner, kind of exciting matchup to get the spirits up after a couple back-to-back losses. Then they blow out Utah. Utah's a really good team. Utah is right there with Colorado the last 4 in, I believe, according to Joe Lunardi, excuse me. So they're also trying to get in the mix there. And then you beat Cal by 10. And it's like, oh, they beat Utah, by the way. I don't know if I said this. They beat Utah by 24. That's a big convincing win. Then they beat Cal by 10. Cal's not the best team in the Pac-12 by any means, but they're a much improved team. They were 3-29, I believe, last year, or 3-26 or something. And they have an improved roster, improved coaching staff. And so big win. So Colorado realistically needs to win 2 out of the next 3. Then you go into the Pac-12 tournament, win a couple games there. All of a sudden, you're in March Madness. You got a chance at the dance, and it's just staying alive. It's just staying alive, winning 1 game at a time. Obviously, the March Madness tournament, NCAA tournament is single elimination. So you win and you're in the next round. You lose and you're out. I think this Colorado team is trending upwards in the right direction, and I'm very excited to keep you guys covered. I'll have Scott Proctor come back on the show so that way we could talk about all things hoops. We'll be covering you guys all throughout March Madness. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. Make sure to check out yesterday's episode if you missed it. I projected Coach Prime's next 5-star recruit, and you guys won't want to mix because there's a few good guys out there, and I think he's going to get one. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, give me 5 stars on Spotify and Apple. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope to see you guys next week, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay warm.